Henry's life changed in a single day. His father's crippling debt landed him in the passenger seat of a luxury pickup truck speeding toward the vast plains of Montana, sold into marriage to not one but two cowboys. They were identical twins who had made one thing crystal clear from the start: there was no choosing between them. He would belong to both of them equally and completely. Now he was caught between Gage's dangerous intensity and Rhett's devastating charm, learning that loving two men wasn't a sin but his destiny. Henry's hands wouldn't stop shaking. He sat in the cab of a truck that probably cost more than his entire hometown, watching the endless golden landscape of Montana pass by. Just 24 hours ago he'd been helping his father at their small, struggling hardware store. Now he was being driven to meet the men he'd been sold to. Sold, the word made his stomach churn. Your father made certain choices, his uncle had told him, his face grim. Choices that put our entire family in danger. The McCall twins have agreed to forgive his debt. In exchange you marry them. Henry had repeated, certain he'd misheard both of them. At 22, Henry had dreamed of love. He'd grown up on classic westerns, imagining a romance that would sweep him off his feet. He'd pictured one man, one great love. Not this. The truck pulled through massive wrought iron gates. The brand of a sprawling cattle ranch burned into the wooden archway. The estate was breathtaking, with a modern ranch house made of glass, dark wood, and steel that was both beautiful and terrifyingly cold. Two cowboys stood at the entrance, identical twins, both devastatingly handsome in a way that made Henry's breath catch. Despite his fear, they had to be in their late 20s, tall and powerfully built, wearing expensive jeans and tailored shirts under rugged jackets. On their heads sat matching dark brown cowboy hats that screamed authority and danger. But that's where the similarity ended. The one on the left smiled as Henry approached, a smile so warm and bright it was disarming. His eyes crinkled at the corners. You must be Henry, he said, his voice like warm honey. I'm welcome home. Home, as if he'd had any choice in the matter. The one on the right didn't smile. His expression was cold, assessing his dark eyes, boring into Henry as if he could see every thought. I'm Gage, he said, his voice quiet but commanding. Come inside. Not a welcome but an order. Henry followed them into a massive great room with vatted ceilings, a stone fireplace big enough to stand in, and floor toe-ceiling windows that looked out over the sprawling valley. I'm sure you have questions, Rhett said gently, gesturing for him to sit on a plush leather sofa. This must be overwhelming. Overwhelming, Henry's voice came out sharper than he intended. I was ripped from my home and told I have to marry two men I've never met. Overwhelming doesn't even begin to cover it. Gage's expression didn't change. You weren't ripped from anywhere. Your father made an agreement I didn't consent to, and yet here you are. Gage stated, sitting across from him. Your father owed us a significant amount of money he lost on a bad land deal, using funds he borrowed from us. The penalty for that is foreclosure on his entire business and your family home. We offered an alternative marriage to you in exchange for his debt and his family's security. Henry's eyes burned with tears he refused to shed. So I'm just a payment for his mistakes, a solution to a problem, Gage said flatly, and an opportunity, Rhett added, his voice softer. I know this isn't what you wanted, Henry, but it doesn't have to be a prison sentence. We can make this work. We can build something real. Real? How is any of this real? You can't just share a husband like he's property. We don't see you as property, Rhett insisted. We see you as ours, both of ours equally. That's insane. That's our reality. Gage's voice cut through his protest. Our father raised us to share everything, every responsibility, every asset, every decision. We've run this ranch together since we were 21. We've never competed, never divided. Belongs to us both. I'm not an asset. No, Gage's eyes held his. You're our husband, which means you belong to both of us completely. There is no choosing between us, no playing favorites, no division. You are ours and we are yours. That's the arrangement. Henry stood Abruptly, I need to think, I need space. Of course, Rhett stood smoothly. I'll show you to your room, you can rest. We'll have dinner together at 8 in. He led Henry up a sweeping wooden staircase to a bedroom larger than his entire apartment back home, with a king-sized bed and a balcony overlooking the vast Montana landscape. The closet was already filled with clothes in his exact size they had been preparing for him. I know you're scared, Rhett said softly from the doorway, but I promise you, Henry, we will never hurt you. You're safe here. In time, I hope you'll see that this can be more than just an arrangement. He left, closing the door. Gently, Henry collapsed on the bed and finally let himself cry. Dinner was surreal. Henry sat at a long wooden table with Rhett on his left and Gage on his right. Rhett kept the conversation light, asking about his hometown, his favorite books, and what he liked to do for fun. He was so charming, making Henry almost forget the circumstances. Gage barely spoke, but his presence was a heavy, watchful weight. You're starring, Henry finally said, meeting his gaze. You're beautiful, Gage replied simply. I'm appreciating what's mine. And heat flushed through Henry's body, part anger, part something he refused to name. I'm not a possession. No, you're our husband. Rhett's hand covered his gently. A possession is something you own and discard. A husband is someone you protect, cherish, build a life with. You don't even know me. We will, Rhett said. We have time. After dinner, Gage stood. It's late, come to bed. Henry's stomach dropped. Excuse me. You're our husband, Gage said, his tone making it clear this wasn't a debate. You sleep with us in our bed, that's not negotiable. Panic clawed at Henry's throat. I'm not ready for that, I can't. We're not going to force you into anything, Rhett said quickly, moving to his side. But we do sleep together, the three of us. This is how this works. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for, but you will be in our bed in our arms, getting used to us. He offered his hand. After a long moment, Henry took it. Their bedroom was enormous, dominated by a massive custom-made bed. When Henry emerged from the bathroom, dressed in silk pajamas he'd found waiting for him, both men were already in bed, shirtless. The sight of them, identical faces and powerful sculpted bodies, made his breath catch. Come here, Rhett said gently, pulling back the covers. Henry climbed in, his body rigid. The moment he settled in the middle, Rhett's arm wrapped around his waist, pulling him against his warm chest. Relax, he murmured. On his other side, Gage's hand found his hip. Possessive and grounding. Sleep, Gage said quietly, trapped between these two dangerous, powerful men. Henry didn't think he'd ever be able to relax, but Rhett's warmth was comforting. Gage's solid presence was steadying, and impossibly, he eventually fell asleep. Over the next few weeks, Henry settled into a strange rhythm. Mornings were for Rhett. He was bright and energetic, taking Henry on tour of the massive ranch, teaching him to ride and making him laugh with stories of their childhood. He was impossible to resist, and slowly, carefully, Henry found himself falling for his warmth. Gage was different. He was quieter, his actions speaking louder than words. He'd notice Henry was homesick and have the ranch cook make his mother's specific recipe for apple pie. He'd stand behind him on the porch, a silent, protective presence as they watched the sunset. Why don't you talk more? Henry asked him one evening. I do when I have something worth saying, he replied. I prefer to show you how feel. And how do you feel? Gage's dark eyes held his. Like you're the most important thing in my world, and I'd kill anyone who tried to take you from me. It should have scared him. Instead, it made him feel cherished and safe. 3 weeks after he arrived, they had yet to push for anything more than kisses and cuddles until the night rat found him crying on the balcony. Hey, what's wrong? He asked, pulling him into his arms. I miss my home, Henry confessed. I miss my life. I know I should be grateful. You've both been so kind, but I didn't choose this. I know, and I'm sorry. Rhett's hand stroked his hair. All I can do is try to make it better by loving you so completely that eventually you won't want to go back. He pulled back to look at Henry. I love you. I know it's fast, but I do, and I want to show you. Will you let me? Henry knew what he was Asking and God help him, he wanted it. He wanted this warm, bright, beautiful man who had made him laugh when he thought he never would again. Yes, he whispered. Rhett kissed him a deep and urgent promise before lifting him into his arms and carrying him back to their bedroom. Gage was there watching them. Enter, he's ready, Rhett said simply. Gage stood, his dark eyes burning into him. Are you? He asked Henry, his voice trembled. Yes, what happened next was overwhelming. Rhett was gentle and patient, making his first time with a man beautiful, tender, and safe. When it was over and Henry was trembling and undone, Rhett kissed his forehead and whispered, "You're mine now, I'm never letting you go." Then he moved aside. And Gage was there, where Rhett had been. Gentle. Gage was intense, possessive. He didn't ask, he claimed. Mine, he growled against his neck. You're mine. Henry, say it, I'm yours. Both of ours, I'm yours, both of yours. Good boy. If Rhett had introduced him to pleasure, Gage introduced him to a raw, consuming passion he'd never imagined. When it was finally over, as he lay boneless and exhausted between them, Henry realized something terrifying and wonderful. He loved them both completely. Differently but equally deeply. Rhett was his sun, bright and warm. Gage was his moon, intense and protective, and he belonged to both of them. The next 3 months were the happiest and most confusing of Henry's life. He fell deeper in love with both men, but he was drowning in guilt. I love them differently, he confessed to Martha, the kind housekeeper who'd become his friend. Rhett makes me laugh and feel free, but Gage, he sets me on fire. I feel alive with him in a way I can't explain, and that's a problem, Martha asked gently. Yes, I feel like I love one more than the other, and I shouldn't. Who says? Martha cut her off. Love isn't meant to feel the same for everyone. Child, why should this be any different? But the guilt ate at him, making him pull back from both men, afraid of hurting one by showing affection to the other. That night things came to a head. Gage found him crying in the library. What happened? He demanded. I can't do this anymore, the words burst out. I can't pretend that I feel the same about both of you, because I don't. I love you both, but it's different, and I'm terrified I'm going to ruin everything. Just then Rhett appeared in the doorway. What's going on? He thinks he has to love us the same way, Gage said, never taking his eyes off Henry's face. What? Rhett crossed the room quickly, kneeling beside his brother. Henry, is that true? I love you like sunshine, Henry sobbed, looking at Rhett. You make me happy and light, but I love you. He looked at Gage, like fire, like drowning and flying at the same time. And it's not the same. It's not wrong, Rhett said immediately. We're different people, Gage said, his voice unusually gentle. Of course you love us differently, but do you love me less than him? No. Do you love Rhett less than me? No, I love you both so much. Then that's all that matters, Rhett said, taking his hand. I bring you joy. That's how I love you, by being your light, and I bring you passion, Gage said. I challenge you, set you on fire. That's how I love you. You need both. Henry stopped trying to measure it. Just love us. Relief and freedom washed over Henry. I love you, he told Rhett, cupping his face. You make me believe in joy again. Then he turned to Gage. And I love you. You make me feel alive. And we love you, they said in unison, pulling him into a shared embrace. That night their lovemaking was different, a unified expression of their unique bond, blending Rhett's gentleness and Gage's intensity into something perfect and whole. 6 months into the marriage, their world shattered started with a phone call. The Blackwood family knows about you, Gage said, his face like granite after he hung up. Henry knew the names. The Blackwoods were their biggest rivals. Ruthless ranching dynasty, always looking for a weakness to exploit. How someone in our organization talked. Gage's jaw was tight. They know you're our husband. They know you're our weakness. I'm not a weakness, you are. Rhett's voice was uncharacteristically serious as he entered the room. The only one we have, the only thing in this world we care about more than power. They're going to try to take you, Gage said flatly, use you as leverage against us. For 2 weeks Henry lived in a fortress. The ranch was on lockdown. Armed guards everywhere. It was Suffocating, then came the night. Everything went wrong, the power suddenly cut out, gunshots exploded. Outside, the door burst open and Rhett stood there, a gun in his hand, his expression terrified. Come with me now. He grabbed Henry's hand, pulling him toward a hidden panic room. But they didn't make it. 3 men in tactical gear blocked the hallway. Rhett shoved Henry behind him, raising his weapon. He took 2 of them down, but the third got a shot off and Rhett collapsed. Rhett. Henry screamed as the man grabbed him, dragging him backward. No, Gage's echoed through the house. He appeared like an avenging angel, his eyes wild with rage. He saw Rhett on the ground and Henry in the attacker's grip. Fight was brutal, efficient, and over seconds. Gage killed the man with his bare hands, then immediately dropped to his knees beside his brother. I'm okay, Rhett gasped, clutching a wound on his shoulder. Vest caught most of it. The next morning, the twins sat Henry down. We're ending this, Gage said. Today we're going to war and taking down the Blackwood organization completely. They left that night, leaving Henry under heavy guard. For 3 days he heard nothing. Then on the 4th day his phone rang, an unknown number. Hello, Mr. McCall, a cold voice said. Your husbands are currently surrounded in a warehouse. Come to this address alone and trade yourself for them. Maybe I'll let them live. He knew he shouldn't, but he couldn't let them die. He slipped past security and drove to the address. An abandoned factory on the edge of town. Inside, an older man waited. It had to be patriarch of the Blackwood family. Where are my husbands? Henry demanded. Alive for now, the man sneered, but first I'm going to kill their precious husband right in front of them. Before Henry could respond, a voice called out from the shadows. Really bad plan. Blackwood. Rhett stepped into the light unharmed, followed by Gage. How? Blackwood stammered. Did you really think we'd fall for such an obvious ambush? Rhett asked. You used me as bait to draw us out. Gage's voice was deadly quiet. So we used you as bait to draw him out. You knew I'd come, Henry whispered, looking at them. Of course, Rhett said gently, moving to his side. You love us, we counted on that. As police sirens wailed outside, Blackwood was dragged away. We gave the feds everything, Rhett explained, pulling Henry into a hug with Gage. Every crime, every dirty deal, it's over. 2 years later, Henry stood in their garden watching 2 little boys, adopted twins, chase each other. Ty had Rhett's smile and Gage's intense eyes. Cole had Gage's serious expression and Rhett's infectious laugh. They're going to destroy those roses, Rhett said, wrapping his arms around Henry's waist. Let them. Henry leaned back against him. They're just flowers. He never thought he'd be this happy, this content. He had thought he would spend his life resenting them. And now, Gage asked, joining the embrace. Now I can't imagine my life any other way, Henry said, turning to look at both of them. You're my home, both of you, my sun and my moon, my joy and my fire. Later that evening, after the boys were asleep, the 3 of them sat on their bedroom balcony overlooking the vast, starry expanse of their land. Do you ever regret it? Rhett asked quietly. I regret not having a choice at the beginning, Henry said thoughtfully, but regret this never. He took both their hands. I spent months trying to make this fit into some normal box, trying to divide my heart equally. Now I know that's not how love works. My love for Rhett isn't less than my love for you, Gage, and my love for you isn't less than my love for Rhett. They're different colors of the same emotion. You're the man who saved us, Rhett said. We were just building an empire, not a life. You gave us something to live for. You gave us a family, Gage added. You both gave me the same thing, Henry replied, tears in his eyes. A home, a place where I belong. 5 years later, their family had grown. After the twin boys, now 8, had come. An adopted daughter, Mia, now 3, and finally another son, James, just a year old. The ranch was loud, chaotic, and beautiful. Mia came running up to them in the garden, holding a crayon drawing of their family. It showed 7 stick figures, Henry in the middle, Rhett and Gage on either side, and 5 smaller figures representing the children, all holding hands and smiling. It's perfect, Henry said, kissing her forehead. Just like our family. Quan appeared with baby James sleeping against his shoulder. Another successful day, he said dryly. Only 3 fights and 2 tantrums. That's a good day, Rhett laughed. Henry looked at his loud, chaotic, perfect family and felt a wave of overwhelming gratitude. He had come here terrified and alone, sold into a marriage he never wanted. Instead, he'd found a real deep, complicated love that didn't fit into any conventional box. He'd found a family. What are you thinking? Kai asked. That I'm happy, Henry smiled. This life, our life, is more than I ever dreamed possible. Love doesn't have to look the way the world expects. Sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones that break all the rules. Sometimes one heart can love 2 souls completely, and sometimes the life you never chose becomes the life you could never imagine living.